hi to everybody and their neighbor. Welcome back to Gear and Gigs. I'm your host, Jeff Stone. So glad you could stop by today. With me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, it's Reg. Reg, how's it going?
Jet, I'm a man, a myth, and a legend, and I just found out.
Well, that's the rumor. That's the rumor. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see you today. We got a good show. I think it's going to be interesting anyway. We've got a new series called Pedalboard Contenders. And it's going to be all about auditioning pedals to put on a pedal board, right? That's what everybody really does. They go to the store, they audition pedals. They want to find which ones to build that awesome pedal board that'll do all the shows for you or do all the recording. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to put together a virtual, well, it's not virtual only to you, a pedal board. We're going to try to put an actual pedal board together that will be virtually seen on YouTube and heard. And it will be the result of several of these shows where we pick just the pedals that we really think are worthy of the Gear and Gigs pedal board. It's just, the honor is minimal, but exciting to us.
And it's tedious work too in the real life.
It is. You have to go to the stores, you got to hook up the power supplies, punch it in, changing patch cords in and out and stuff, yeah. So we're going to have some fun and do all that stuff for you. And you get to check out the results. So he has no idea what the pedals are for the day. As you know, if you're a regular viewer, he likes the hanky of mystery. I forget what you call it.
Yes, the magic hanky.
The magic hanky, my bad. The magic hanky. So you guys, you know what it is, of course, because you've seen it on the YouTube thumbnail, but he doesn't. So here we go. Are you ready? Drum roll for Reggie, please. Ta-da!
All very pedalboard friendly sized pedals.
Yes, they're small, they're normal, they're not shaped like a car.
Right.
They're actual boxes designed for pedalboard use. We have, starting left to right here, we have the Tube Pilot by TC Electronics, which is, they're not saying it, but I think we all know it's obviously a tube driver clone, and it actually has a 12AX7 inside. So it's an overdrive built around an actual tube. So it's kind of like getting another stage to your amp's preamp. The next thing we have, got from my buddy Jason, who's a regular host on the show, and it's the Greer Amps Tomahawk overdrive, designed to be, as I understand it, kind of like a tweed sounding overdrive. You know, not balls to the wall, more, those in-between sounds, as I think it's milieu. Don't mean to get all international on you there.
No.
Next, going right, we have the Ibanez PH7 Tone Lock Phaser. Now, Reg is a connoisseur of phasers, loves them. He's an enthusiast and a connoisseur. He's a con-enthusiast.
I am a con-enthusiast. I love phasers.
Yeah.
I love all phasers, some more than others.
And I think, personally, having auditioned this prior to the show, I think he's going to like this one. I think this one in particular he's going to actually dig. We'll see.
You know what I like.
I know what you like. And one of the things he likes is a very slow phaser. And it has that in spades, but it's a certain sound. I think he's going to like it. I could be wrong. We'll see. All right, stick around. And the last is a pedal that I think he's really going to like. I'll be shocked if he doesn't. What he's going to tell me is, I wish we'd tried this on bass because I'm going to play it on guitar today, but he can extrapolate, I'm sure, once he hears it. But it's the MXR Poly Blue Octave.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that particular one, but I have played with some other MXR Octave pedals before and have great respect for them.
Yeah, and you like your MXR. You're kind of an MXR con enthusiast.
I have a few MXR pedals.
Yeah, and he's gone through stages of a lot of MXR pedals.
Yes,
so.
there have been a few.
Yeah, and I've never played this one either, and I played it just before the show as a test, and oh man, I think you're going to like it. It's very interesting, very interesting. So we're going to go left to right as we try these out, so stick around for all that. And today's amp is kind of a new amp for the show. It's an Amplified Nation Wonderland Overdrive. So a different amp. We're actually going to have, if we haven't already, depending on when these shows come out, an interview with the owner of Amplified Nation and designer and builder. And it's a very interesting amp. The clean side, which is the only side we'll use today, is designed to be John Mayer-esque, you know, sort of that two-rock meets Dumble meets Fender sort of a thing, but with some real juice on it. It's got a real, it's one of my favorite cleans, and that's what we're going to use it for today. The overdrive is also different, but we'll talk about that when we do a show on the amps. But for now, we're just going to use the clean side. For guitar, we've got a Huber Krautster 2 in surf green. One of my favorite guitars. Grab my pick back here. One of my favorite guitars. It's a set neck, 2 humbucker. It's supposed to have coil splitting, but we're not going to use that. So it's kind of Les Paul-y a little bit Les Paul. To me, it feels more like a cross between a Fender and a Les Paul, so it's kind of nice. I like it. All right, here's our clean tone.
Very nice.
Yeah, I really like the guitar. It's very lively, but the amp is...
Yeah, it's you know, well, I mean, the combination of the two, obviously, there is a lot of clarity and a sweetness to it.
Sweet. It's a very sweet amp. Yeah, it's hard to get anything other than sweet out of this amp. It's, yeah, that's a good descriptive word for this amp. It's very sweet. All right, so let's take it up a notch. Add another tube section to that by hitting on the tube pilot. Now I've got it set at kind of a moderate setting. We'll go up from here, but this is kind of probably where you're going to start.
Okay, there's nothing about that I don't like.
Yeah, it's very likable. It's
Is this the in-betweener one you were talking about?
it is. Well, no, I'm sorry. This is the tube one. This is the
okay,
tube
because
one.
yeah, I was going to say that's got some crunch to it.
It does. It does. And now I've got the drive up at about a third, I guess. Let me take the drive down and see, you know, how light we can go with that. I like it. It's real responsive, and that's obviously
yeah,
at the lowest setting.
it sounds really nice. It's still, I mean, the drive still has some drive to it though.
Yeah.
Even at the lower setting, it's got some juice. I mean, volume wise, it doesn't really. At that setting, it kind of, you know what I mean. It's pretty equally balanced volume wise.
Well, there is a volume control, so I've got that actually equalized for that sound, so that you can kind of just get the grit without just
Right.
jumping a bunch. Yeah, yeah. Now let's take it to see, you know, how much gain we can get out of this thing.
Let's
take
see
it
how
further.
far it'll go.
Yeah. So this is like the BK Butler 1980s design that used a 12AX7 in the same kind of graphics and colors. And that's the one that was famously used by Eric Johnson for a good portion of his lead tone, was that tube driver. And those things are very expensive. You know, they start at probably $200 or $300 and go up because they don't make them anymore. At least I don't think they do. And you know, the older they are, the more desirable they are to the collector. And so this is a very inexpensive TC Electronics version of that. So
it sounds great.
It sounds ampy to me. It feels and sounds very ampy, and doesn't sound artificial. It feels real nice under the fingers. I can get lost in playing it for sure. And that was maxed out. So that's maximum gain, and there's like no noise. And that's crazy. You know, if I turned a preamp knob up that far, you'd get tons of noise. I'm not getting any. Let's see if I were to play, it would be so blindingly loud. That's all the way up. So you can get some noise out of it, but in general usage settings, man, it's quiet. I'm very impressed with that. I think that sounds real natural.
I am too. That would be certainly a contender.
Yeah. I think now we can only have a limited number of drives on the board, so it'll be it'll be a pattern of comparing to the previous ones, and then something's going to get knocked out. So in this case, we're going to go to the Greer amps Tomahawk. This is an in-between, as I said, for me at least, the way I think of it is, it's kind of like a tweedy boost on top of your amp that gives you a little drier sound, because tweeds are a little drier generally, but also a hint of a bark and kind of a grainier distortion, you know, not quite so smooth, a little rougher, I think. That's, to me, what it sounds like. So I'll remind you what the clean sound is, and then I'll kick in the pedal at kind of a medium setting, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Can you go back and forth on and off with that pedal? Clean, and on and off just once or twice. There's some low end loss.
Really? I don't hear that in the room at all.
I hear it in here in these cases.
Interesting. It must be where the microphone is picking it up. Interesting. Well, you know what? I'll move the mic position just a hair and let's see if it changes that. Okay, I moved it about an inch to the left.
It seems less, but I think it's still. I hear just a tiny a tiny bit of low end, not like a deal breaker,
Right, right, okay.
right? But
Well, interesting. Yeah, I don't hear that in the room for some reason, but there you go. That's the
maybe it's
nobody
my laptop.
nobody hears a sound until it's picked up by a microphone for the most
That's a
part.
fact.
So that matters more than what it sounds like in the room. So interesting to know. Treble. There's a treble control, a drive control, and a volume. So the drive is about 1 o'clock. Volume's down to about 11 o'clock just to compensate. And then the treble is straight up and down. So let me
Okay.
roll the treble up and down and let's see what a difference that might make in the
Okay.
low end as well as the high end.
Yeah, that cuts a lot of high end when it's
It really
rolled
does, yeah.
back.
It's like a tone control on a volume. I mean, on a guitar almost.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Let's knock the drive down to about half what it is, just kind of where it's just starting to kick in, and see what the character that is.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's fun to play. It's got a lot of clarity. It's good with arpeggiations, which is tough to find with distortion sometimes. It's really good with that kind of chimey almost, got a kind of a tweed, kind of a tweed amp sort of a thing, really. Kind of chewy and chimey. Yeah, it's got the, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Jason. I like that very much. Jason Luthley was kind enough to send that to us. He's a good friend and a co-host on the show. And yeah, he's got good taste too. That's a nice pedal. It's cool looking too, but man, yeah, that doesn't sound bad at all. Let's see how much drive it's got at the other end.
Oh, we must.
By the way, the reverb today is coming from the Amplified Nations Wonderland Overdrive amp. It's a spring
Oh,
reverb.
very nice. Very subtle.
Yeah, it's a nice, it's one of the most enveloping reverbs that I've heard in an amp. I like it real well. I find myself liking that quite a bit.
It's a contender.
It is. It is. Look at you referencing the new title of the show.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I wouldn't want to say anything terrible about anybody's pedals, but if it wasn't, I
Right.
wouldn't say it.
Right. That's true. And this, we have to be honest. If it stinks, we'll say it stinks. We try to weed out the
Just say,
stinkers
well,
before
that's
you
not
guys
so much
come.
of a
But
contender there.
yeah, but
Get
this is
that
not
one
a
out.
stinker. This
No,
is
that's a contender. Yeah, those are both good
yeah,
sounding drive pedals.
it's really good.
I'd have to say of the two, I kind of like the tube driver better.
Oh, really? I kind of like the Tomahawk better.
Ah, see,
There's more flexibility in the Tomahawk, I think.
yeah,
They're
there's
both
something.
really good.
They
I
are.
could use either one. All right, we'll hold off on that decision quite yet. I like that though. I like that. I'm not a Tweety guy, but I like that. All right, let's move on to the phaser, the PH7 phaser. Now this is called a tone lock because these knobs can be pushed down into, sure they can, down into the case, and that way they can't actually be kicked around, accidentally, adjusted. So you can kind of, it's like a way to get an analog preset.
Right.
Set your knobs, push it down, and then you're set. There's two modes. There's a 4-stage and an 8-stage.
Okay.
So you can make it a little lusher if you want for your phaser. And yeah, let's take a listen. Once again, I'll start dry and then we'll add in. I'm going to go to the in-between position for this.
Okay. Pretty. That's a nice slow LFO right there.
I knew you'd like it.
Yeah, I mean, because you know how many, yeah, and I don't know why. I mean, I guess everybody likes the mama or whatever, but so many builders, their LFOs, they don't go down that low, and you always have that, constant like this all the time rather than that.
You want LF slow.
I want LF slow. Yeah, I mean, it's low frequency for crying out loud.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah, subtle sometimes, or even if you make it extreme, then it's got a long cycle. You might want to time it to music.
Right.
You might want to have the longer cycle. Yeah, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, I know who's going to like this real well. All right, let me mess with it a little bit. Let's see where the settings are right now. Speed is not all the way down.
Oh,
It's at 1 o'clock. It's at 1 o'clock. I know. I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. It's got feedback, which is nice. You don't know if you can get that depth and then level. So here we go. Let's mess around. I'm going to go to the, I'll go to the bridge pickup. It's so slow. It's the slowest.
it's also
phaser.
really subtle too. It's
Yeah.
not in your face. It's kind of. I mean, it almost sounds like just a slow filter, right? But never really, never getting out of control. Never,
It's so in control. It's like Idris Elba as a phaser. It's
right.
just like-
And this is
that's it.
depth and depth up.
Yeah, depth. Everything is almost straight up except for the speed, which is all the way down. Let me switch modes. I think we're in the 4 stage. Let me switch it to 8.
Okay. That's nice.
I've just never heard a phaser go that slow in my.
How
I'm not
fast,
even sure if we're through one cycle yet.
right? How on the reverse end, how fast will it
How
go?
fast does it go? Let's find out.
Very shimmery.
So at the end, I kicked in some feedback. Let me add in some feedback now and see, kind of mess with that at full feedback. Okay,
Yeah,
that's very
that's
cool.
really nice. That's shimmery, and
It had a vocal quality, like a real
it does
envelope
it does
thing
have a
almost.
vocal quality, and it's very smooth as well. Um,
So let me dial down
I'm
the
just gonna
feedback
say
to a
that
more. Let's
you can
take the
do whatever you
feedback
want to
out.
with this
Yeah,
pedal. Is a contender.
this is a contender.
This is a contender here.
All right, I'm going to leave it on the eighth stage. Take the speed down just a little bit. The depth I'm going to leave up pretty. I'm going to leave it up all the way. Feedback off though. Well, off all the way down, because we've had a little taste of feedback the whole time. So let's see what that does. All right.
Yeah,
Wow, that's just hard to stop playing. It's just so juicy and fun.
yeah, and that's very subtle with the regen or the feedback
Off,
down all the way like
down all
that.
the way.
It
Yeah.
really subtles it out, but takes none of the lush.
Yeah, it's so lush. It's anyway.
Who
Yeah,
makes that?
yeah. Ibanez.
That's an Ibanez pedal. I mean,
Ibanez
not that there's anything
PH.
wrong. Maxon makes their pedals, right? So
I
it's
don't know for sure if they still do or not, but they did at
they
one point
used to.
certainly. Yeah,
Um,
but really liked it. Just I
yeah, I
knew
gotta
that you
say,
would.
there's nothing wrong with that. That's because if you get that phaser effect from any phaser pedal, and it has an LFO that goes slow enough, right, where you can get those long sweepy sounds. I kind of it's bridge of size to me,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
When you
yeah,
get the
yeah.
really slow sweep, That's what it conjures up. And it's like that's what I'm always trying. I'm always after that, right?
Right.
After that, just long, sweepy phase, and because it's kind of a magical effect. It's dare I say, if you could only have one modulation effect, it'd have to be a phaser.
Probably a phaser is a good choice anyway. Phaser or chorus, but
Yeah,
I'd find more
yeah,
uses for phaser honestly than I would
yes,
chorus, and it's less stigmatized from the '80s.
and it is less stigmatized. That's correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Although I've gone through more chorus pedals in my life than I have phaser pedals.
Yes. In fact, we've done some great chorus shows where we've done some shootouts. So I'll put a link up above so you guys can check that out. Not now. Stay with us because the best is yet to come. I think. But I just want to roll the knobs around one more time and see if we can find something else
Yeah, just
interesting
add a
before
little
we
bit
head
more
over.
feedback to what you were just doing
I
because
agree.
that
I
was
agree.
really nice. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You take two notes, play them with that sound. It's an interesting thing.
Done. Yep. It's good.
It just adds interest and flavor and movement and all that wonderful stuff in a
It
really
has
vocal, interesting way.
it has a more than a little hint of the old EP2 envelope phaser.
It does. It
Right?
does have a kind
Kind of
of
has.
envelopey thing when you get to a certain
Yeah.
spot. Yeah,
It's kind of that one's a contender.
it's a contender.
It's a contender.
All right. Just for grins, I'm going to try that with a little tomahawk. Just
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for
let's
sure.
yeah, let's
For
see what
sure.
that's.
Oh my God.
I could just get lost in that. That's just fun.
That's the sauce.
Yeah, you don't. It makes single notes so much more interesting. It makes chords do this stuff. At first, I started out. We still had the drive all the way up on the tomahawk, so I thought it was a bit much. But once I backed it down, I thought it got much more interesting. And just as a point of note, I'm running phaser into overdrive right now. It might sound better the other way, I don't know. I debated which way to do it actually, and I thought, well, I'll put the overdrives after the phaser. I wanted to hit the phaser earlier on in the chain, but I'm not sure. It might have come better the other way. But we have to move on because we can't do a 4-hour show on Pedalboard Contenders or we'll be here for 4 hours. Something like that. It's time for the Poly Blue octave. Are you ready for the Poly Blue octave?
Octave up, octave down.
If only that were true. It is, in fact, an octave up and an octave down, but how about also 2 octaves up and 2 octaves down? Oh. That's the Poly. 4 voices, right? You can monoize them if you want and give it just, I think, 1 down and 2 down if you want to use it with bass. You can set it up for mono to do it that way. But we're going to use it in the non-mono fashion, so you get all 4. And it's not mono versus stereo, it's mono versus polyphonic. So this is polyphonic. It'll actually do chords, which is interesting. Very interesting. And here's the best part. There is a separate mix for dry. There's a separate mix for every voice, so you can get exactly the blend you want. And then it has a built-in fuzz.
Oh, well, I like anything that's got a built-in fuzz.
It's a button. You hit it, turns blue, you got fuzz. Which also would work great for bass. I think this thing would sound great with bass, and we may do a separate show on that. But in this case, it also has a mod knob for modulation. What? I know. Now you can see the face of intrigue on Reg's face because he's like, wait a minute, fuzz mod and 4 octaves.
I don't know anything like this.
I know.
Never seen anything like this.
And MXR, who's, I mean, bless their hearts, but I don't think of them as like I said, bleeding
they've
edge.
They've made some really good, the MXR bass deluxe, bass octave deluxe or whatever it is. It's just a 1 down, right? But there's 2 different voices. One is a growl, one is a girth, right? Oh. And girth is just what it sounds like. It's a big, fat octave down. Where growl is the same octave down, but a little bit gritty.
Interesting.
Right? And you can use either or both.
Right.
And as far as bass octaves down, I always liked that. I mean, the Boss OC2, that's the analog, but my God, that thing... It's so glitchy.
It is glitchy if you're not careful.
As octave downs and octave pedals in general have improved over the years, I'm already, my expectations for this pedal are high.
Yeah, well, I think you'd be okay with that. It's not glitchy. I'll tell you that. It's definitely not glitchy. So here we go. I'm going to kick the pedal on and then I'll have everything off except the dry so we can hear what the dry sounds like through the thing. And then I'll start rolling in different octave voices.
Okay.
It's not glitchy, as you could tell. It's not glitchy.
No, it's that's when it was that first octave up, which I'm assuming was 2 up.
It was. I started with 2, yeah.
That it had that distinctive organy sound. Like there have been other people that have made not just octave pedals, but like pitch shifting bend.
Right.
Where you, not just an octave up, but maybe a 5th up or whatever, right? And that's the first thing I thought of is like, oh, it's that sound, okay. Which I don't dislike that sound. It's actually very nice, especially when you throw in a little bottom.
You can
Yeah.
blend it too, so you don't have to have a lot of it. You could, have just a touch of that if you want. It's very organy, very organy. I mean, you could comp organ parts all day long in a band,
Mhm.
and it would sound great. But let's throw in some mod.
Let's see what this mod does. Ah, I like this pedal.
It's very organy. The way that we
Yep.
have it currently set. I mean, every time I go like when last we left,
Right,
Bruce and
right.
Josie had just kissed.
And the modulation, which I always forget trem and vibrato, which is which. I think tremolo is volume, right, and vibrato is pitch.
Yes, I
Which,
believe that's correct.
but it's in this circumstance, it kind of sounds like a Leslie, right? It kind of gives you a little bit of a
A little
Leslie.
bit, yeah, especially at that speed. And there's an expression pedal.
Oh,
Okay.
for the speed of it,
I don't know, but I believe so. I
I
believe so.
bet that's what it would do. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So
Slow
I'm
and
going to lower
fast.
the modulation a little bit, lower the speed, make it more subtle, and see what that does.
Okay. A little proggy.
It tracks so well. I mean, vibratos and everything. It just finger vibratos. It's really very
It's a
tasty.
contender.
We haven't added fuzz yet.
Oh,
Oh,
it
you
doesn't.
forgot
Oh,
all
this
about
is
the fuzz.
bonus, bonus.
Bonus fuzz, bonus fuzz. All right, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll the dry down because the fuzz is gonna get loud.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, it is a contender,
That's
without a
just
doubt. This
great
is a
fun.
this is a good. All right, so let me make sure I understand how this new series is going to work.
All right.
So we've got four pedals, different kind of two drives, but I'll give you that because nobody just uses one drive pedal. Hell, I play bass. I got four different options for drive and
Well,
whatnot.
we should allow ourselves two to three drives. I
2 to
think.
3 at least,
Yeah,
yes.
we don't want it to be a
So,
crazy board.
and
We want a
everything
normal
else,
size board.
that would be a one-off, right?
Right, I
So
would think
then, if everybody hears a contender, then these are all up for a knockout round with other pedals.
So you're saying this is our pedal board right now?
Right now, that I mean, you
That's
throw a delay on there and you're done, right?
Right, it would be a chorus. Once again, I would like chorus, but you got the modulation.
If you got enough room, yeah.
Now, I don't know if the modulation is just on the voices or if it's on the dry or what.
Hard
So
to tell.
I'm going to roll everything down except for the dry and then roll the modulation in and see if it does anything.
Okay.
And same thing with the fuzz. I'm not sure if it affects the dry or just the other voices. Let's find out. Turn off the modulation. We'll go to the straight dry, and then I will add in modulation. We'll see what that does, and then I'll add in fuzz and see what that does.
Oh, it's on the clean. It's on the whole signal then.
I don't mind that. That's kind of nice. It's kind of a. Is it
Me
chorus?
either.
Is it flange? What is it exactly? It's just kind of
Especially
pleasant.
if it is expression pedal controlled for the speed,
Right.
that gives you a whole new palette.
Maybe it's
right
depth
there,
though. Could be
without
depth.
even using the octave.
I kind of like it as a modulation. It's kind of a.
It's not bad.
You could get through a show with that as your chorusy, flangey thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And up faster, it sounds kind of tremolo. I dig it. All right, let's try the fuzz and see if that's on the dry signal or not.
And not bad either.
For the right kind of music, that would work. You could use that all night long, and you're
Just
just use
saying,
the
like
fuzz.
right now, what you got here in this one pedal, if you were trying to go minimalist, like a small board, right? Well, this, and like the last board that I built, many of the pedals are multifunction. They do different things, right? And my only requirement for that is that they do all them all really well.
Right.
Because it would be horrible to have something that does this really well, but then it also does this, and it's so. Because you want to be able to use it on its own.
Right.
I think this does all that.
Yeah, we haven't tried two other applications that I could see using for this thing. One is just a single octave below, and one's a single octave above. Because single octave above, you're doing a faux 12-string sort of guitar or a faux 8-string bass. An octave below is a pretty standard thing that's used in a lot of pedals. So let's just check those out, get rid of the ones that are 2 octaves above and below, and just see the regular meat on the bone here. So I'll turn off the modulation, turning off the fuzz, octave 1 below. Okay, I'll start off the dry, and we'll go to that. I said I was going to do an octave below, and said I did an octave above.
I noticed that right away. I was like, that's a peculiar low octave.
Strangely, they have on the bottom row they have the octaves up, and on the top row they have the octaves down. So it's a little counterintuitive, but we'll check that out first since we're already here.
Yeah, that's nice.
I added a little modulation there to
I
give it a,
saw
leave a little
that.
bit
Very
swirly.
well heard, but
All right, now we're going to try the octave below. For real this time.
oh,
Okay, how cool does that sound?
that was freaking cool.
I'm going to add a
That was cool.
touch of distortion now to our phaser
Oh,
and
why
poly blue
not
octave.
throw a
Right.
little touch of distortion to that? Hey, I think we got 4 contenders.
That's a good pedal board. That is a pretty good little mix up.
It's not bad. I mean, all you're missing, like I could live without the chorus, although I would choose to have it. But if you had a 5 pedal board, which you could fit on a, pedal train, not really
Right.
a,
Yeah, we're not taking up a lot of
mini
space
or
right
whatever.
now. Yeah.
One more pedal, you got one delay pedal, and you're pretty much that's it.
Not bad. So I guess we'll have to audition delay pedals next for Pedalboard Contenders.
Yes, yeah, delays. Delays a tricky thing too because so many good ones. My God, they're just they'll have subtle
do.
differences between them, and it's like really comes down to preference then at that point.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to have a couple of those and maybe a couple choruses next time.
You
Pick
need
for
something
our
that
pedal
does it
board.
all. You can do a good tape delay and a good ping pong and whatever. Or are you more into something that's just does this one thing, but it does it like fantastic? I mean, it's tricky.
Are we doing a stereo pedal board? There's a question.
Oh, well, if it's my board, it's stereo.
Okay, we'll plan on doing a stereo board then. Very impressed with all these pedals. I don't know. I think I want to put one of the drives in front and leave one at the backside, and that would give us some nice mixing capabilities. Yeah, and it's not a super expensive board. It's not a heavy board. Everything is metal and heavy duty and reliable, but it's not heavy weight-wise. Everything is very light, actually. Yeah, I'm digging that. I'm digging that a lot. Very flexible.
Okay, well, this was a eye-opening kind of because you're talking about non-boutiquey stuff for the most
Really
part.
non-boutique, yeah. I mean, Greer amps, I suppose, would be the closest one to a boutique at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is pretty much standard issue stuff. It's just, and it works together well. Listen to the noise.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. It's like finding things that actually sound really nice, but also work in conjunction without issues.
Right, no weird noises, no weird. I did notice, however, I will be honest and say that when I powered everything from a single power supply, with multiple things coming off of it, a power bank of some kind, I forget what kind. If I had the poly blue octave in there with the others, there was a weird noise. So when I separately powered the poly blue octave, all the noise went away. So I just feel like it's one of those pedals that Just works better when it's got its own isolated power supply. Which happens sometimes.
Some just do. Some
Yeah,
just
it happens
prefer that.
sometimes. But yeah, there you go. Pedalboard Contenders, we've got our first 4. We'll see if these guys can be knocked off because we'll be bringing up more phasers and drives and poly blue. Oh, that one's going to be hard to knock off.
That'll be a hard one.
That one will be a tough one. It'll probably be sticking around for a while, but other pedals to come. So stick around. Check out some of our other shows. Subscribe. Take a moment. Just hit the button. Subscribe. That way you'll be notified when our newest shows come out. And we also do audio podcasts anywhere audio podcasts are streamed. So make sure you guys check those out as well. Thanks for coming, Reg. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you helping me do this. And,
Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
And it's nice that you wore a shirt that matched my guitar. That was very kind of you.
I had just a sense, either that or I just had this shirt on today. It was one of the two. I can't remember which.
Yes, I actually picked a guitar to match your shirt. So
It was the ESP, I think it is what it was.
It was a complete coincidence.
Yes.
All right. Well, for Reg, I'm Jet. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.